It seems like every time I turn around, there's some crazy new breakthrough in AI.
Yeah, it's pretty wild how fast things are moving.
But here's the thing that I think is really interesting.
What's that?
It's not just the usual suspects, you know?
Right, not just Silicon Valley anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, you've got some really interesting players coming out of left field.
Like, who are you thinking of?
Well, for starters, this DeepSeek v3
Okay, yeah.
out of China, this AI language model that's, well, it's turning a lot of heads.
And giving those Silicon Valley giants a run for their money.
Oh, absolutely. And on a shoestring budget, too, compared to what those big companies are spending.
That's what we're diving deep into today, folks.
Buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride.
We've got research papers, articles, you name it.
All trying to understand how DeepSeek v3 is doing so much with so little.
First off, 671 billion parameters.
Okay, now that's a big number.
It's a lot.
To put it mildly.
But I think what's really important here is how they're using those parameters.
Right, it's not just brute force here.
So tell me about this mixture of experts thing.
Ah, yes. The MOE architecture.
It sounds complicated.
Well, it's actually pretty elegant when you get down to it.
Okay, so break it down for me.
Imagine instead of using all 671 billion parameters all the time, DeepSeek just activates the ones it needs for a specific task.
Like a team of specialists, each with their own expertise.
Exactly. It's like having different AI agents, each optimized for a particular job.
So that's how it can respond so quickly and efficiently.
Right. That's the efficient inference part.
And I'm guessing that also plays into the low training costs?
Absolutely. Training these massive AI models is incredibly expensive.
Well, it used to be.
Right. DeepSeek v3 is changing the game.
That's got to have some serious implications.
Oh, yeah. The whole industry is taking notice.
I'm already seeing headlines about US AI stocks taking a hit.
Especially NVIDIA.
Yeah, they've been riding high on the whole AI chip boom.
If DeepSeek can achieve similar results with less computing power, though,
That changes everything.
it's a major wake-up call for companies that have been relying on brute force and expensive hardware.
Okay, but how did DeepSeek pull this off?
Right, especially considering the restrictions China faces when it comes to getting the latest and greatest AI chips.
That's what makes this so impressive.
They're working with limitations that U.S. companies don't have to deal with.
And yet they're still managing to reach computation levels comparable to OpenAI's O3 model.
Yeah, it's a testament to their ingenuity and their focus on efficiency.
So they're basically outsmarting the limitations with clever algorithms and software.
Exactly. They've squeezed every ounce of performance out of the hardware they have access to.
One thing that stood out to me is this multi-head latent attention.
Ah, yes. MLA, a really fascinating approach to memory management.
Okay, so what is it exactly?
Think of it like this DeepSeek isn't just storing information, it's organizing it in a way that makes it super easy to find what it needs.
Like a really efficient filing system.
Exactly. It can pinpoint the most relevant information in a flash.
And that's essential for handling complex tasks and large data sets.
Absolutely. Without efficient memory management, you're just bottlenecked by the time it takes to sift through all that data.
So it's not just about having a lot of information, it's about being able to access and use it effectively.
Precisely. That's a key part of DeepSeek's success.
This all sounds really impressive, but how does DeepSeek actually perform?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Can it really go toe-to-toe with the big boys like GPT-4 and Claude?
Well, that's what we're going to dig into next.
I can't wait.
Let's get into the nitty-gritty and see how DeepSeek stacks up against the competition. So we've talked about the architecture and the efficiency, but there's another aspect of DeepSeek v3 that really sets it apart.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What is it?
It's this whole concept of long context.
I've heard that term thrown around, but I'm not entirely sure I understand what it means.
Okay, so think about it like this. Imagine you're trying to read and understand a really complex document.
Okay, like a legal contract or something.
Yeah, exactly. Or a dense scientific paper, something with a lot of intricate arguments and references that build on each other over many pages.
Right, most AI models would probably struggle to keep track of all that information.
Exactly. They have a limited window of attention, so to speak.
But DeepSeek v3 is different.
That's right. It's designed to handle these long contexts with ease.
So it's like having an AI with a super memory.
You got it. DeepSeek v3 can handle contexts of up to 128,000 tokens.
Wow. 128,000. That's way more than any other model I've heard of.
It's a huge leap forward. It's like being able to read an entire novel and remember every single detail.
That's incredible. But how do they even test something like that?
They've developed this really interesting benchmark called the needle in a haystack test.
Okay, that sounds pretty challenging.
The idea is you have this massive document, a haystack of information.
And the AI needs to find a specific piece of data, the needle.
Exactly. It's all about seeing how well DeepSeek v3 can recall and utilize information buried deep within these long contexts.
So it's not just about storing a lot of data, it's about actually being able to find and understand the relevant parts.
Precisely, that's what sets DeepSeek apart from a lot of other models.
So what were the results? How did DeepSeek perform on this needle in a haystack test?
It actually exceeded expectations. It was able to navigate these massive information haystacks and pinpoint the relevant information with remarkable accuracy.
That's amazing. What kind of implications does this have for real-world applications?
Oh, the possibilities are endless. Think about being able to analyze complex legal documents, research scientific papers, or even process entire historical archives with AI that can truly understand the context and relationships within that data.
Wow, that would revolutionize so many fields.
It really would. We're talking about a whole new level of AI capability.
Okay, I got to ask about one more thing that I found really intriguing in the research.
What's that?
This concept of constitutional AI sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
It does, doesn't it? But it's actually a really fascinating area of research.
So what is constitutional AI exactly?
Well, instead of relying solely on human feedback to train the model, DeepSeek's developers are also using the model's own evaluations as a reward signal during training.
Wait, so it's like the AI is judging its own performance?
In a way, yes. They've embedded a set of principles, a constitution, if you will, into the model.
So it's learning from itself, but it's also being guided by these principles.
That's the idea. It's about aligning the AI's goals with human values from the get-go.
It sounds like a pretty radical approach. What are some of the potential risks?
Well, of course, there's always the concern that AI could develop its own values that might not align with ours.
Yeah, that's a bit unnerving.
It's a valid concern, but that's why this area of research is so important. It's about figuring out how to build AI that is both powerful and aligned with our goals.
So it's not just about letting the AI run wild. It's about guiding its development in a responsible way.
Exactly. And DeepSeek's developers believe that this kind of constitutional AI is going to be crucial for the future of AI development.
Okay, so we've got this incredibly powerful, efficient AI that's cheap to train, excels in complex tasks, and is even being guided by its own set of principles.
It's a game changer.
Absolutely. But what does this mean for the established players, the U.S. AI giants that we talked about earlier?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? How will they respond to this new challenge from DeepSeek v3?
It really feels like DeepSeek v3 is shaking things up in a big way.
Yeah, it's definitely a turning point, I think.
If they can deliver this kind of performance at such a low cost.
It makes you wonder what's going to happen to those companies that have poured billions into building these massive, expensive models.
Right? Is it still a game of bigger is better, or
Maybe not.
maybe efficiency and ingenuity are starting to win out?
I think that's a big part of what we're seeing here.
And the market seems to agree. Look at what's happening with NVIDIA.
Oh, yeah, their stock has been taking a tumble.
Investors are clearly nervous.
If those expensive AI chips aren't as essential as they once were,
That's a big problem for NVIDIA.
it's a classic case of disruption, you know?
A new technology comes along that offers comparable performance at a fraction of the cost.
The old guard has to adapt or get left behind.
And this has got to have some serious implications for President Trump's project Stargate.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the whole point of that initiative was to solidify U.S. dominance in AI.
Right. Throw a ton of money at it, build the biggest models, attract the best talent.
But what happens when another country comes along and says,
Like, we can do it better and cheaper.
exactly, it throws the whole notion of dominance into question.
It's not just about brute force anymore.
It's about being smart and efficient.
And DeepSeek v3 has definitely proven that they're capable of both.
This might be getting a little bit too into the weeds for some folks, but
Yeah, it's pretty complex stuff.
I think it's important for everyone to understand what's happening here.
AI is becoming more powerful and more accessible,
That's going to have huge implications for all of us.
whether we work in tech or not.
And DeepSeek v3 is a perfect example of that, you know,
It's a reminder that innovation can come from anywhere.
and that the old rules might not apply anymore.
We're entering a whole new era of AI development.
And it's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out.
Yeah? Who knows what we'll be diving into next?
Well, that's all the time we have for today, folks.
Thanks for joining us.
Remember to subscribe and leave a review if you like what you hear.
And be sure to check out our website for more in-depth analysis.
Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious.
And keep on diving deep.